or let me how would I phrase this? Like if the frequency stays the same and you increase the wavelength by like extending the rope, could you increase the speed that way? If the frequency is the same and you maintain the same frequency with a different wavelength because you increase the length of the rope, could the speed stay?
Increasing the length of the rope is not going to change the speed at all. So,
Why?
because the speed of the actual wave itself, how fast it can travel through the medium, is still dependent upon the tension and the density.
But,
Changing the length doesn't change either of these in theory.
but speed equals frequency times the wavelength. So if the wavelength increases because it's longer and the frequency stays the same, that way it doesn't affect each other.
The wavelength is not going to increase by making the rope longer. Not unless you're changing something else.
Why not?
Is it because wavelength doesn't really mean the length?
Doesn't really mean what?
The length,
Right.
because that's what I had in my mind when I put it. But it really doesn't have anything to do with the length.
Not directly. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it does. I mean, I get how it does, but like I'm talking like physically.
I think I see what you mean. Yeah.
so all you're doing is just increasing how far it has to go. It doesn't change
Yeah.
how long it takes, how far the wave goes in one period. It just changes how far the wave needs to go before it gets to the end.
Now, with increase the frequency of the wave, I put make the rope length smaller, and you counted it wrong. But my thought process behind that was frequency is how often it happens. So I
Right.
thought if you made it smaller, you wouldn't have to go so far, and therefore it would make it more frequent, the wave more frequent. Because you wouldn't have to travel a longer distance.
But frequency still depends upon what's driving it, what's creating this wave. So making it, if my hand's moving up and down like this to create the wave, if it's a smaller rope, it doesn't affect this.
So
In theory.
tension is what I was looking for there, probably.
I would suspect, you know,
Okay. Cause you did it out there with the example, but I mistaked tension for making the rope shorter, I think.
oh,
When you.
because when I increased the tension, I pulled it tighter, yeah, so in that respect, I did, just because I was pulling it tighter. I guess the analogy is if I'm moving it back and forth like this and kept the same tension, I didn't pull it any tighter and just moved to half the distance,
Yeah,
it would not have changed the wavelength, or, you know, would not have changed the wavelength. So the better wording would have been not to make the rope shorter, but to pull on the rope, pull the rope towards you more tightly, so you're not
so
getting
the
any closer.
tension greater.
Yes. Other questions at the moment? All right, I'm going to hand it out. I'll just put it down on your desk. If you still want to do some last minute cramming, you feel free to do it. If you want to jump right into it, you can, when you're done with the test. I will say that I have enjoyed this class, and I know not all of you necessarily getting out of it what you had hoped, but thank you for making this 8.5 weeks far more bearable.
Thank you.
Now, what do I do with the test?
Did you grade our last test?
The test corrections?